Have you ever wondered why everything changed the moment you believed God was about to answer? Why the people who once stood beside you suddenly disappeared? Why doors that seemed ready to open slammed shut without warning? Why the nights became longer, the silence became heavier, and the battle inside your heart became more exhausting than anything happening around you? Listen carefully, because what I am about to say is not for someone who is casually passing time. This is for the person who has cried in secret. This is for the one who smiled in front of others while carrying a heart that felt like it was breaking apart behind closed doors. This is for the one who kept asking, God, how much longer? If that question has lived inside your soul, then do not walk away from this moment. Stay here, because your waiting has not been meaningless. Your waiting has not been forgotten. Your waiting has not been invisible before God. Something is happening that you cannot see. And when God reveals it, you will understand why nothing could have happened sooner. There are battles that people can witness, and then there are battles that only God knows about. People saw your face, but they never saw your tears. They heard your voice, but they never heard the conversations you had with God when everyone else was asleep. They judged your silence as weakness without realizing it took more strength than they have ever known just to survive another day. Some accused you of giving up when, in reality, you were using every ounce of faith you had left just to keep standing. Others assumed that because you were quiet, God had abandoned you. They could not see that heaven often works in silence before it speaks with power. They measured your life by what was visible, but God has never been limited by what human eyes can measure. Perhaps the greatest pain has not been the delay itself. Perhaps it has been the loneliness that came with it. You expected support from those you loved, but instead you found distance. You trusted people with your heart, yet they questioned your motives. You believed they would defend you, but they stood silent while others misunderstood you. Some even used your weakest moments to strengthen their own pride. They spoke as though they knew your story, even though they never carried your burden. Every false accusation became another weight on your shoulders. Every betrayal left another scar that no one could see. There were moments when you wondered whether being kind had been a mistake. You questioned whether remaining faithful had any purpose at all. But hear this with every part of your heart. People may have misread your journey, but God has never misunderstood a single tear you have shed. God does not lose sight of those who feel forgotten by the world. When everyone else moved on, God remained. When every conversation ended and every phone became silent, God was still listening. When the room felt empty and your future looked uncertain, God was not searching for you because He already knew exactly where you were. Your address has never been lost in heaven. Your name has never disappeared from God's attention. The same God who watches the smallest details of creation has watched every moment of your struggle. Not one sleepless night escaped His notice. Not one disappointed prayer was ignored. Not one moment of heartbreak slipped through His hands without purpose. The enemy wanted you to believe that delay meant denial. He wanted you to confuse silence with absence. He whispered that your prayers were too late, your mistakes were too great, and your hope was too weak. Day after day, he tried to convince you that nothing would ever change. He filled your mind with questions instead of confidence. What if this is all your life will ever be? What if your best days are already behind you? What if God has chosen someone else? Those whispers were designed to drain your faith before your breakthrough ever arrived. Because the greatest victories are often attacked long before they become visible. The enemy fears what God is preparing to do through someone who refuses to let go, even when every emotion tells them to surrender. Look back for a moment. There were seasons you thought would destroy you, yet somehow you survived them. There were disappointments that convinced you everything was over, yet you are still here. There were storms so fierce that you believed your faith would collapse beneath them, yet something inside you refused to die. That something was not human determination alone. It was the sustaining hand of God carrying you through moments when you did not even have the strength to carry yourself. You may have felt weak, but weakness is not the same as defeat. You may have felt exhausted, but exhaustion is not the end of your story. God has been preserving you because your assignment was never meant to end in the valley where others expected you to remain. Do not allow the length of your waiting to redefine the size of your God. Human beings become impatient because they can only see today. God sees every tomorrow at once. He is never rushing because He is never late. While you counted days, He was arranging moments. While you watched closed doors, He was changing hearts you have never met. While you questioned why nothing seemed to move, He was removing dangers you could not recognize. If God had answered some of your prayers the moment you demanded them, the blessing might have become your greatest burden. If certain doors had opened too early, they might have led you into destruction disguised as opportunity. God's timing is not slow because He lacks power. His timing is perfect because He possesses complete wisdom. Now, I want you to hear these words as though they are spoken directly into the deepest place of your soul. Your waiting is reaching its end, not because you earned it, not because people finally decided to believe in you, and not because circumstances suddenly became favorable, but because God has already determined the moment when the impossible will become undeniable. What no person can manufacture, God can accomplish in a single moment. What years of striving could not produce, God can establish without struggle. The same God who carried you through every lonely night is not bringing you this far to abandon you at the edge of your promise. Hold on with everything you have left, because what feels like the final chapter of your struggle may actually be the opening sentence of the greatest testimony God has ever written through your life. There is something that most people never understand about the waiting season. They think waiting is empty space between two events. They believe it is wasted time, a painful pause where nothing meaningful is happening. But that is only because they judge life by what their eyes can see. God does not work only where people are looking. His greatest work often begins where human vision comes to an end. While everyone else measures progress by visible results, God measures progress by what is happening inside the heart. That is why your waiting has felt so confusing. You prayed for changed circumstances, but God began changing you. You asked Him to remove the mountain, but He first strengthened the person who would one day stand on top of it. You pleaded for immediate answers, but God was building a foundation deep enough to carry a future far greater than the one you imagined. A blessing that arrives before the heart is ready can become a burden instead of a gift. God knows the difference, and His wisdom has protected you more times than you realize. Think about the nights when you felt like nothing was moving. The silence was so overwhelming that even your own prayers seemed to echo back without an answer. You opened your heart before God, again and again, hoping that this time something would change. Yet morning came looking exactly like the day before. It would have been easy to believe that heaven had become distant. It would have been easy to assume that your voice no longer mattered. But silence does not prove that God has stopped working. A seed buried beneath the ground makes no sound while it is breaking open. Deep beneath the surface, life begins long before anyone can celebrate the harvest. The person walking across the field sees only ordinary soil, unaware that an invisible miracle is unfolding underneath every step. Your life has been much the same. Others have looked at you and seen nothing changing, but beneath the surface, God has been preparing something that cannot remain hidden forever. Perhaps you have asked yourself why the pain lasted so long. Why did God allow betrayal to wound you so deeply? Why did He permit people you trusted to misunderstand your intentions? Why did those who promised loyalty disappear when you needed them the most? These questions are not signs of weak faith. They are the cries of a heart searching for purpose in the middle of suffering. Yet consider this carefully. If every person had remained faithful to you, would you have learned to depend on God with the same intensity? If every relationship had gone according to your plans, would you have discovered the strength that only grows when everything familiar falls apart? Sometimes God allows the support of people to fade so that your confidence can become rooted in something that will never fail. Human approval rises and falls like the wind, but God's faithfulness remains unshaken through every season. There were moments when you almost gave up completely. You may not have spoken the words aloud, but deep inside, you wondered whether continuing to believe was worth the pain. You looked around and saw people who ignored God appearing to move ahead, while you struggled to take one more step. You questioned why integrity seemed so costly. You wondered why honesty invited opposition instead of reward. Every disappointment tempted you to become bitter. Every delay invited you to lower your standards and compromise your convictions. Yet even when your strength became fragile, something within you refused to let go entirely. That quiet determination was evidence that God had not released His grip on you. Sometimes we imagine that we are holding on to God with all our strength, when in reality it is God holding on to us when our strength has almost disappeared. The waiting season has also exposed the voices you should never have trusted. Some people spoke with confidence, but their words carried fear instead of faith. They told you to lower your expectations because they could not imagine God doing something extraordinary. They interpreted your delay as proof that your prayers were unrealistic. They mistook temporary hardship for permanent defeat. Be careful whose conclusions you accept. A person who cannot see beyond the present moment will always misunderstand a future that only God can reveal. They will call your patience foolish because they cannot see what patience is protecting. They will call your hope unrealistic because they have forgotten that God specializes in doing what human reasoning declares impossible. Never allow someone else's limited vision to become the boundary around your faith. Do you realize that God has been removing things from your life while you were asking Him only to add? You asked for opportunities, but He first removed distractions. You asked for increase, but He exposed hidden weaknesses that could have destroyed the very blessing you desired. You asked for open doors, but He quietly closed the paths that would have led you into regret. At the time, those closed doors felt like rejection. They felt unfair. They felt like another painful reminder that nothing was working. Yet, imagine if every desire had been granted immediately. Imagine if every invitation had been accepted. Every relationship had continued. Every opportunity had succeeded. Would you be closer to your purpose today? Or would you have wandered into places where your peace would have been stolen? Looking back, you may eventually discover that some of God's greatest acts of kindness were the prayers He answered with, "Not yet." Do not despise the person you have become during this season. You are not the same individual who entered the waiting. Pain has deepened your compassion. Disappointment has sharpened your discernment. Loneliness has taught you to recognize the quiet presence of God when no one else was there. You have learned lessons that comfort could never teach. You have developed endurance that ease could never produce. You have gained wisdom that success alone could never provide. These are not small changes. They are the invisible treasures formed in the hidden places where only God was watching. One day, people will admire the strength they see in you without realizing how many silent battles were required to shape it. There comes a moment in every person's journey when the greatest battle is no longer against circumstances, but against the voice inside that quietly asks, "What if nothing ever changes?" That question is dangerous because it does not arrive with shouting or panic. It comes in the stillness. It comes after another unanswered prayer. It comes after another disappointment that no one else notices. It comes when you wake up carrying yesterday's burdens into another day that looks exactly the same. Little by little, hope begins to feel heavier than fear. Faith starts to feel more difficult than giving up. You continue moving because you have no other choice, but deep within, a part of you wonders if expecting a miracle is only setting yourself up for another heartbreak. If you have ever stood in that place, hear me carefully. God is not intimidated by the questions you are afraid to speak. He has seen every hidden struggle inside your heart, and He has not turned away from you because your faith has been tested. In fact, the very fact that you are still listening, still seeking, still reaching toward Him through the darkness is evidence that He has been sustaining you all along. The enemy does not fear your past mistakes nearly as much as he fears your future obedience. That is why he works tirelessly to convince you that your waiting has been pointless. He wants you to believe that your best opportunities have already passed. He wants you to compare your unfinished story with someone else's visible success. He whispers that you have fallen behind, that your time has expired, that your dreams belong to another season that will never return. But comparison has always been one of the greatest thieves of peace because it forces you to judge your journey using information you were never meant to carry. You see someone else's celebration, but you do not see their hidden battles. You see their open doors, but you do not see the years of preparation that came before them. More importantly, you cannot see what God is preparing specifically for you. God has never written identical stories for different people. His plans are not copies. His timing is not borrowed. His purpose for your life cannot be measured by someone else's calendar. Some of the hardest moments in your life were never meant to destroy your confidence. They were meant to reveal where your confidence was resting. It is easy to believe when everything around you feels secure. It is easy to speak about faith when relationships are strong, finances are stable, health is steady, and every prayer seems to receive a quick answer. But what happens when all of those things begin to shake? What happens when people walk away without explanation? What happens when the opportunities disappear? What happens when those who once praised you begin questioning your character? Suddenly, everything that looked permanent reveals how fragile it truly was. Yet there is one foundation that has never cracked beneath the weight of human disappointment. And that foundation is the faithfulness of God. He remains unchanged when circumstances change. He remains trustworthy when people become unpredictable. He remains present when everyone else becomes distant. The storms around you have not exposed God's weakness. They have exposed His unshakable strength. Perhaps you have noticed something unusual about yourself. The things that once impressed you no longer hold the same power. The approval you used to chase no longer satisfies your heart. The opinions that once controlled your emotions have begun losing their influence. That is not because you have become cold. It is because God has been quietly reshaping your priorities. There was a time when rejection from people would have shattered your confidence. Now it still hurts, but it no longer defines your identity. There was a time when one closed door would have convinced you that everything was over. Now you have learned that if God closes one path, it is because He sees another that you cannot yet see. This transformation did not happen overnight. It was forged through countless moments when you had no choice but to trust God beyond your own understanding. What once felt like unbearable pressure has become the very force that strengthened your spirit. Never underestimate what God can accomplish through a person who refuses to become bitter. The world expects pain to produce anger. It expects betrayal to create revenge. It expects disappointment to destroy compassion. But when you choose to place your wounded heart into God's hands, instead of allowing resentment to control it, something extraordinary begins to happen. The very experiences that were meant to harden your heart become the places where God's grace shines most clearly. Your scars stop being symbols of defeat and become evidence that God carried you through what should have broken you. There is a strength that cannot be purchased, inherited, or imitated. It is born only in those quiet seasons when a person continues trusting God despite having every human reason to walk away. That strength is now growing inside you. Even if you cannot fully recognize it yet, do not mistake God's patience for inactivity. There are movements taking place beyond your sight that no human effort could ever accomplish. Hearts are being prepared. Circumstances are being aligned. Obstacles you have never even discovered are already being removed before they can stand in your way. While you have been praying for visible change, God has been arranging invisible victories. The most remarkable part is that you do not have to force these things to happen. You cannot manipulate divine timing. You cannot rush God's wisdom. Your responsibility is not to control the outcome, but to remain faithful while God accomplishes what only He can do. That truth removes an enormous burden from your shoulders. You were never meant to carry the weight of making the impossible happen. That responsibility belongs to God alone. Right now, you may feel as though you are standing between two worlds. One is the painful reality you have known for so long. The other is the promise you have not yet touched. That space between them can feel unbearable because nothing seems certain. Yet history has shown again and again that the greatest breakthroughs often come when everything appears most impossible. Human logic reaches its limit, resources disappear, strength fades, and every natural solution runs out. then God moves in a way that leaves no room for doubt about where the answer came from. He does not need favorable circumstances to demonstrate His power. He does not require perfect conditions to fulfill His purpose. He is not restricted by the opinions of those who underestimated you or by the limitations that others have placed upon your life. What people have declared impossible has never placed a boundary around God's ability. So refuse to surrender in the final stretch of your waiting. Do not abandon hope because the night has been long. The darkest hour often convinces people that morning will never come. Yet dawn arrives without asking permission from the darkness. In the same way, God's appointed moment cannot be prevented by delay, opposition, betrayal, or human disbelief. The voices that said you would never recover do not have the authority to decide your future. The failures that embarrassed you do not have the power to define your destiny. The waiting that exhausted you has not been empty. It has been sacred. Every tear has been seen. Every prayer has been heard. Every lonely moment has been counted. And now the God who has walked with you through every hidden battle is bringing you closer to a moment that will remind you forever that no season of faithful waiting is ever wasted when it is placed into His hands. There is a reason the enemy fought so hard to convince you that your story was over. He knew something that you could not yet see. He understood that if you continued trusting God through the silence, through the betrayal, through the confusion, and through the loneliness, you would become the kind of person that circumstances could no longer control. The greatest victory is not simply receiving the miracle. The greatest victory is becoming someone whose faith remains alive before the miracle arrives. Anyone can celebrate after the answer appears. Anyone can speak confidently when the outcome is already visible. But it takes a transformed heart to continue believing while every visible fact seems to argue against hope. That is the kind of faith God has been forming inside you. It has not been loud. It has not been effortless. It has been forged in hidden places where no applause existed, where no one noticed your tears, and where the only witness to your perseverance was God Himself. Have you noticed how quickly people change when your life enters a difficult season? Some who once praised you suddenly become silent. Others begin questioning decisions they once admired. There are even those who secretly celebrate your struggles because your pain makes them feel more comfortable about their own lives. It hurts because these are not strangers. These are people whose words once brought comfort, whose promises once sounded genuine, whose loyalty seemed unshakable. Yet the moment the storm arrived, they disappeared, leaving you to carry burdens they never even tried to understand. You asked yourself countless times, why would God allow this? But perhaps the better question is this: what has God revealed through it? He revealed who truly belonged in your journey. He exposed relationships built on convenience instead of commitment. He removed voices that would have distracted you when your purpose required complete dependence on Him. What felt like abandonment was often divine protection, disguised as painful separation. There are blessings that cannot grow in crowded places. There are revelations that cannot be heard while surrounded by constant noise. God sometimes leads people into seasons of isolation, not because He desires their loneliness, but because He desires their clarity. When every opinion disappears, His voice becomes easier to recognize. When every human solution fails, His wisdom becomes more precious than ever before. You may have interpreted your isolation as punishment, but God was inviting you into a deeper relationship with Him. The conversations you have had with God during your most difficult nights have shaped you more than years of comfort ever could. Those moments when you cried until you had no words left, when all you could do was sit in silence before Him, were not wasted moments. They were sacred moments. They were the places where God strengthened parts of your soul that no one else even knew were breaking. The world celebrates visible success, but God often celebrates invisible transformation. People admire the finished building while ignoring the countless days spent laying a foundation that no one could see. They celebrate the harvest, but overlook the months when seeds remained hidden beneath the ground. In the same way, many people will one day admire what God does in your life without understanding what it cost you to remain faithful. They will see the breakthrough, but not the waiting. They will see the joy, but not the nights filled with tears. They will see the open doors, but never know how many doors closed before the right one appeared. Do not be discouraged because your process has been hidden. Hidden preparation has always produced lasting strength. God is far more interested in building something that endures than something that impresses people for a moment. There were times when you begged God to remove the pressure, but instead, He gave you the strength to remain under it. At first, that felt like another unanswered prayer. You wondered why relief never came as quickly as you hoped. Yet imagine what would have happened if every difficult season had ended the moment it became uncomfortable. Would your faith have matured? Would your character have become stronger? Would your dependence on God have deepened? Growth rarely happens in places where everything feels easy. The strongest trees do not develop deep roots during calm weather. They develop them while enduring storms that threaten to uproot them. In the same way, every challenge you survived has driven your spiritual roots deeper into the faithfulness of God. What once seemed unbearable has quietly become the reason you now possess a strength that cannot be shaken by every passing difficulty. Do not underestimate what God can accomplish through one moment of divine intervention. Human beings often assume that because something has taken years to unfold, it must also require years to change. But God is not limited by the speed of human effort. He can accomplish in one moment what people believed would take a lifetime. He can restore opportunities that seemed permanently lost. He can open doors no human influence could unlock. He can bring peace into a heart that has carried years of emotional pain. He can turn confusion into clarity, weakness into courage, and despair into unshakable confidence. This is why you must never allow the length of your waiting to determine your expectations. A long season of silence does not mean a small answer is coming. Sometimes the longest preparation precedes the most extraordinary demonstration of God's power. I believe there is someone listening who has nearly convinced themselves to stop expecting anything extraordinary. You still pray, but your prayers have become cautious because disappointment taught you to protect your heart. You no longer ask boldly because you fear another unanswered request. You have lowered your expectations, thinking it will hurt less if nothing changes. But faith was never meant to shrink because circumstances became difficult. God has not called you to place your confidence in probabilities. He has called you to place your confidence in Him. The impossible remains impossible only as long as we measure it by human ability. The moment we remember who God is, impossibility loses its authority. The same God who sustained you when you had almost nothing left is fully able to do what no person around you believes can happen. So stand where you are today with renewed courage. Not because every problem has disappeared, not because every question has already been answered. Stand because God's character has not changed. Stand because His promises are not weakened by delay. Stand because every step of your journey, including the painful ones, has been gathering into a testimony that no one will be able to deny. The waiting has refined you instead of destroying you. The betrayal has strengthened your discernment instead of hardening your heart. The loneliness has drawn you closer to God instead of pushing you away from Him. And now you are closer than you realize to seeing why none of those painful chapters were allowed to have the final word. God has been writing a greater ending all along. And when His appointed moment arrives, what once looked impossible will become undeniable, leaving you with one unshakable truth. Those who wait on God are never forgotten, never abandoned, and never left without a purpose that is greater than every pain they have endured. The moment is coming when you will stop asking, God, where are you? And you will begin saying, God, you were here all along. Everything that confused you will suddenly begin to make sense. The delays that felt unbearable, the doors that remained closed, the relationships that unexpectedly ended, the nights filled with tears, and the seasons when it seemed as though heaven had become silent, will no longer look like meaningless suffering. You will realize that God was never standing at a distance watching your pain. He was walking beside you through every valley, protecting you from dangers you could not see, preparing you for responsibilities you were not yet ready to carry, and shaping a future that could never have been built through comfort alone. What looked like abandonment was preparation. What felt like rejection was protection. What appeared to be the end was only the place where God was quietly writing a new beginning. Do not allow this present moment to convince you that your story has already been decided. The pages you have lived are not the final pages. God has never been limited by the chapters that caused you the greatest pain. He is not searching for a way to rescue your future because He has always known how your story unfolds. While others judged you by your present condition, God continued looking at the purpose He placed within you before anyone else knew your name. People have looked at your scars and assumed you were defeated. God has looked at those same scars and seen proof that you refused to surrender. People counted your failures. God counted every time you chose to stand back up. People remembered your weakest moments. God remembered every prayer you whispered when no one else believed you could keep going. Heaven has been keeping a record very different from the one written by human opinion. Perhaps the greatest miracle God is preparing is not simply changing your circumstances. It is revealing a version of yourself that only His presence could create. The person who once depended on applause has learned to find peace in God's approval. The person who once feared rejection has discovered security that cannot be taken away by changing opinions. The person who once panicked at every delay has begun to understand that God's wisdom reaches far beyond human understanding. You are no longer the same individual who entered this waiting season. You have become stronger without becoming proud. You have become wiser without becoming cynical. You have become more compassionate because you know what it feels like to carry invisible pain. These are victories that no one can steal because they were formed where only God could reach. One day, someone who is standing exactly where you once stood will cross your path. They will feel forgotten. They will believe their prayers have accomplished nothing. They will think their tears have been wasted, and that the silence surrounding them is proof that God has moved on. In that moment, you will not speak from theory. You will not offer borrowed words or empty encouragement. You will speak from experience. You will look into eyes filled with hopelessness and say, I know what it feels like to wait. I know what it feels like to question everything. I know what it feels like to stand alone while others misunderstand your heart. But I also know this: God never failed me. Those words will carry power because they were purchased through your own journey. Your greatest ministry may rise from the very season you once begged God to remove. Never believe that the impossible is measured by the size of your problem. The impossible is measured by the greatness of God, and there has never been a moment when His power was reduced by human limitations. Mountains may appear immovable to those who rely only on their own strength, but God has never been intimidated by obstacles. Closed doors are not barriers to Him. Human rejection is not a barrier to Him. Financial lack is not a barrier to Him. Broken relationships, shattered dreams, years of delay, false accusations, and impossible situations are not barriers to Him. The Creator of all things is not searching for enough strength to change your life. He already possesses all authority, all wisdom, and all power. What seems impossible to you has never been impossible to God for even a single moment. So keep believing when others stop believing. Keep praying when the answers seem delayed. Keep trusting when your emotions tell you to surrender. Keep walking even when the road ahead is hidden by uncertainty. Do not throw away the faith that carried you through the darkest nights, because you are closer than you realize to seeing the faithfulness of God revealed in a way that will leave no room for doubt. The tears you cried in secret will not be the last chapter of your life. The pain you endured will not be your permanent identity. The waiting that stretched your heart will become the reason your testimony carries such extraordinary power. And when that day arrives, when God does what no human mind could explain, you will not stand there boasting about your own strength, your own wisdom, or your own endurance. You will quietly look back over every lonely night, every unanswered question, every closed door, every betrayal, every moment you almost gave up, and with a heart overflowing with gratitude, you will know beyond every shadow of doubt that God never abandoned you. He never stopped working. He never forgot your name. He never ignored your prayers. He never wasted your pain. He was preparing something greater than your imagination, and at the perfect moment, He did what only God can do. Your waiting is over. The impossible belongs to God, and the God who carried you this far will carry you into a future filled with His faithfulness, His purpose, His peace, and His undeniable power. Listen closely, for this message is not an accident. Something in the unseen has been stirring. Angels have been moving with urgency. They are alerting, whispering, warning about your eyes. Yes, your eyes. For your eyes are not merely windows to the world. They are the gates of your spirit. They are the lenses through which your soul perceives reality, the portals through which either light or darkness may enter. The angels of God are watching how humanity uses its eyes, and they are alarmed. They are sending signals. They are crying out. Because what you allow your eyes to behold determines what your heart becomes. You must understand that in the realm of the Spirit, sight is sacred. The first thing God gives to a chosen soul is vision, not physical, but divine sight. And the first thing the enemy tries to corrupt is that very sight. When angels speak of your eyes, they are not merely referring to the flesh that blinks and gazes. They speak of your focus, your attention, your perception, your discernment. For wherever your eyes go, your soul follows. And if your eyes become dim with the worldly distractions, your spirit will lose direction. There is a divine urgency in this hour. The angels are alerting because humanity is being blinded by images that steal holiness, by screens that feed corruption, by sights that numb the conscience. They are seeing how eyes that were meant to behold the beauty of creation have become addicted to vanity, to comparison, to lust, to deceit. They are seeing how many have exchanged divine vision for the illusions of men. And the angels are sending messages, stirring the hearts of those who still listen to God, saying, guard your eyes, for they determine the purity of your spirit. When God formed you, He placed within you not only the ability to see, but the responsibility to choose what to see. He gave you dominion not only over the earth, but over your own attention. What you behold, you become. If your eyes are fixed on fear, fear will grow. If your eyes are fixed on temptation, temptation will conquer. But if your eyes are fixed on God, light will flood your being, peace will guard your mind, and wisdom will guide your steps. Angels are alerting about your eyes because your destiny depends on what you focus on. Some of you have lost your divine assignments not because you are not anointed, not because you are not chosen, but because your eyes wandered from purpose to distraction. You were called to gaze upon the promise, but you kept staring at the pain. You were meant to fix your vision on divine direction, but you became fascinated by worldly noise. God says today, lift up your eyes again, for the angels have seen that you are being pulled away from what truly matters. They are blowing the trumpet in the Spirit, calling you to awaken your vision again. When your eyes become contaminated, your discernment weakens. You stop seeing what God sees. You begin to misjudge people, misunderstand seasons, misinterpret signs. The eyes of your spirit start to blur, and what was once clear becomes confusing. The angels are alerting because many have traded divine sight for digital sight. They spend hours staring into the glow of screens, but minutes gazing into the presence of God. Their eyes are being trained to see everything but truth. But today, heaven is speaking, cleanse your vision. There is power in the gaze of a person who sees through the lens of God. When you see life through divine eyes, storms no longer scare you. When you see through divine eyes, even delay becomes preparation. Angels are assigned to those who look toward light, but they cannot walk with those who insist on staring into darkness. You cannot pray for divine protection and yet open your eyes to corruption every day. You cannot ask for spiritual strength while your vision is filled with filth. Your eyes must align with your faith. The angels are alerting because sight controls destiny. When you start to look at what God wants you to see, everything begins to shift. Even your atmosphere changes. The angels are urging you to protect your gaze because the enemy knows if he can corrupt your eyes, he can capture your heart. He knows if he can distract your vision, he can derail your calling. He knows if he can keep you staring at what wounds you, you'll never move toward what heals you. There are two kinds of sight, natural and divine. Natural sight sees what is visible. Divine sight sees what is eternal. Natural sight sees obstacles. Divine sight sees opportunities. Natural sight is swayed by appearances. Divine sight is rooted in truth. The angels are alerting you because you have been looking too long through the lens of the natural. You are seeing failure where God sees preparation, rejection where God sees redirection, endings where God sees beginnings. Heaven is saying, change your vision before your vision changes you. When your spiritual eyes awaken, you start to discern what others overlook. You begin to notice how God moves subtly through the ordinary. You start to see warning signs before disaster strikes. Angels are positioned around those who keep their eyes aligned with God's purpose. They will whisper to your spirit, look away from that. Turn here. Wait there. But if your attention is consumed by the noise of the world, you will not hear their alerts. Your eyes were designed to recognize divine timing. When you fix your eyes on God, you start to sense when to move, when to pause, when to speak, when to stay silent. But when your gaze is clouded by anxiety and desire, you act outside of alignment. That is why angels are alerting now to bring you back to focus. They are guarding the chosen who are about to step into new seasons, but who risk losing direction because of what they keep watching. Some of you are wondering why your peace has faded. It is not because God has left you, but because your eyes have wandered. You are feeding your spirit the wrong images. You are absorbing energies that suffocate faith. You cannot expect tranquility while consuming chaos. The angels see it. They know what constant exposure to negativity does to the soul. They are stirring the sensitive hearts to fast not only from food but from harmful visuals, from toxic comparisons, from the endless scroll of vanity that darkens discernment. Every time you open your eyes, you are either building faith or draining it. Every glance has spiritual weight. That is why God watches not just what you do, but what you look at. Your gaze reveals your hunger. What you stare at the longest becomes your master. Angels are alerting because too many have become enslaved to what they see rather than empowered by what they believe. They look at others' lives and feel less. They look at past pain and lose hope. They look at the glitter of the world and forget the glory of God. But there is still hope. God is calling you to purify your sight, to restore your divine focus. When your eyes become sanctified, your whole life changes. Light floods your mind. Peace returns. Power awakens. You start seeing beyond appearances into purpose. You begin to notice that every delay was a design, every detour a direction, every disappointment a divine setup. You see the invisible hand of God orchestrating even the moments that seemed meaningless. Angels are alerting because your vision determines your vibration. What you focus on expands. If you fix your eyes on what is missing, you will live in lack. If you fix your eyes on what God has promised, you will live in abundance. Heaven responds to focus. The realm of the Spirit moves when a soul looks steadfastly toward divine truth. Angels rush to assist those whose eyes are aligned with God's light. Do not allow the enemy to use your eyes as instruments of destruction. He wants you to look back like Lot's wife, to gaze at what God has already delivered you from. He wants you to keep replaying the past so that you never step into the future. But God is saying, lift your eyes from the ashes. I am building something new. The angels are ready to lead you forward, but your focus must change. Stop watching who left. Stop watching who betrayed you. Stop watching who seems ahead. Fix your gaze on the divine timeline. Some of you are tired because your eyes are exhausted. You are seeing too much of the world and too little of God. Your mind is overstimulated. Your spirit undernourished. The angels are calling you to rest your eyes upon the stillness of faith. They are calling you to meditate on what uplifts, to fill your vision with light. For in stillness, clarity returns. When you withdraw your eyes from chaos, you begin to see what was always there, divine order. God uses your eyes to reveal His will. Sometimes He will close one door so your eyes will notice another. Sometimes He will allow darkness so your inner sight may strengthen. Angels are alerting because the next move of God requires sharper vision. You cannot enter the new season with blurred discernment. You must see clearly, see who belongs in your circle, see which path leads to peace, see which opportunity carries divine favor. Do not despise the moments when God blinds you temporarily. When He hides certain things from your view, it is to protect you from premature exposure. When you cannot see the full picture, trust that the angels are arranging it. They guard not only your path, but also your perception. Sometimes divine blindness is divine mercy. For what you cannot yet handle, God conceals until your spirit matures. Angels are alerting about your eyes because sight creates atmosphere. What you allow yourself to behold determines the spiritual climate around you. A person who gazes constantly at negativity invites darkness into their dwelling. But one whose eyes remain on God radiates serenity that even chaos cannot invade. Your eyes are spiritual thermostats. They regulate the temperature of your environment. When you look at light, light fills your space. When you look at despair, despair settles in. Choose wisely what you see. God is raising a generation whose eyes will no longer be seduced by illusion, a people whose sight will pierce through deception. The angels are working now to awaken seers, men and women who will not only look but perceive, for perception is the power to interpret what you see. Many look but few perceive. The angels are saying, you have looked enough. Now learn to perceive. When your perception changes, your reality changes, you stop calling every delay a curse and begin to call it alignment. You stop seeing rejection as punishment and start seeing it as redirection. You stop staring at the closed door and start noticing the open window. Angels are attracted to gratitude. They move with speed toward those whose eyes remain thankful even in trial. Your eyes were not created to dwell on darkness. Every time you stare too long at pain, it multiplies. Every time you replay betrayal, it deepens. The angels are alerting because your healing begins when you redirect your gaze. Look at how far God has already brought you. Look at the subtle ways He has protected you when you didn't even know it. Look at the strengths that survived every storm. There are miracles in your memories if you look with a divine sight. Some of you have been praying for guidance, but guidance begins with the focus. Angels guide the eyes of those who are still enough to see the signs. But if your gaze is always restless, if you are looking at everything except what God is showing, you will miss the cues. Slow down. Watch how God speaks through patterns, through people, through silence. Watch how He reveals direction, not in chaos, but in calm. There is a sacred discipline in training your eyes to refuse to look at what corrupts, to withdraw from what tempts, to choose light even when darkness seduces. Angels celebrate those who guard their eyes, for every act of restraint increases spiritual power. Every Every time you turn your eyes from sin, you strengthen your authority. Every time you choose purity over pleasure, you expand your influence in the unseen. Your eyes are the gatekeepers of your destiny. The angels know this, and that is why they are alerting. They know that a single glance can plant a seed of doubt, of desire, of destruction. But the same eyes that can open a door to evil can also unlock divine revelation. What you decide to look at will either imprison you or empower you. When your eyes align with God's will, even your enemies cannot deceive you. You will discern motives before they manifest. You will see traps before you fall. You will perceive counterfeit blessing before you accept them. This is divine sight, and the angels are ready to activate it. But first, you must surrender your focus to God. Do not let the world steal your gaze. Guard it as sacred treasure. Let your eyes dwell on what uplifts, on what strengthens faith. Every time you fix your eyes on hope instead of fear, you honor the God who created you to see beyond appearances. Every time you look for divine fingerprints in your circumstances, the angels rejoice, for you are seeing with the eyes of the Spirit. Your eyes are instruments of prophecy. They reveal where your life is heading. Look long enough at failure, and failure will frame your path. Look long enough at divine promise, and the universe will align to fulfill it. Angels respond to focus the way seas respond to water. They move toward what you meditate upon. The angels are alerting because time is short. The world is filling the eyes of humanity with deception images that glorify sin, glorify chaos, glorify pride. They know that if they can blind the masses, they can control their hearts. But those who keep their eyes on God will remain untouched. They will see truth where others see confusion. They will see light even in darkness. Do not wait for a crisis to correct your focus. Begin now, each day. Ask yourself, what have my eyes been feeding my soul? Have they looked upon peace or upon noise, upon gratitude or upon envy, upon creation or corruption? Your spiritual diet is determined by your vision. You become what you behold. The angels are moving with intensity now. They are touching the eyes of those who are ready to see differently. Some of you will begin to notice signs you overlooked. Patterns will appear. Insights will emerge. You will feel guided not by sight alone, but by perception. For when the eyes of your spirit awaken, even the ordinary become prophetic. God is preparing you for higher dimensions of clarity. But with greater sight comes greater responsibility. When your vision expands, you must protect it fiercely. You must avoid anything that dulls discernment. Do not entertain gossip, for it clouds perception. Do not indulge jealousy, for it distorts vision. Do not feed fear, for it blinds the spirit. Keep your eyes clear, and your purpose will stay pure. Angels are alerting about your eyes because they know what God is about to show you. New revelations are coming. Hidden truths are about to unfold. But they cannot be received through cloudy vision. The clearer your eyes, the deeper your insight, the purer your focus, the louder heaven speaks. You are being prepared to see differently, not with anxiety, but with assurance, not with confusion, but with conviction. The angels are aligning your perspective so you may perceive opportunities disguised as obstacles, blessings hidden in battles, and divine timing concealed within delay. Guard your eyes, for they are sacred instruments of destiny. Keep them lifted toward the light of God, and you will never stumble in darkness. The angels are watching, guiding, protecting. They are alerting, reminding, awakening you to this truth. Your eyes are not mere organs. They are gateways to glory. There comes a moment in every life when God demands that your vision evolve. The angels are stirring your awareness right now, for they know the season has shifted. You cannot walk into what is coming with yesterday's sight. You cannot carry yesterday's vision into tomorrow's divine assignments. The eyes of your spirit must be renewed. They must be sharpened, purified, and aligned with heaven's clarity. For when your sight matures, your destiny accelerates. Angels are not calling your attention to your eyes just for protection. They are calling for transformation. Because once your perception changes, your whole world rearranges. Many people are praying for miracles while their eyes are closed to the signs God has already sent. They ask for confirmation, but they ignore revelation. They cry for direction, but they refuse correction. The angels are alerting because the answer you seek is already visible. If only you would see through the lens of the Spirit. The problem is not absence of light, but blindness of heart. God's guidance surrounds you, but you must learn to recognize it. The same way the sun is always shining even when clouds hide it, divine guidance is always near even when confusion covers your sight. Your task is not to create the vision, it is to clear it. God is refining your eyes because He is preparing you to see beyond appearance. Too long have you judged by surface impressions, by what looks good, what feels easy, what seems promising. But heaven's perspective pierces through illusion. The angels are teaching you to see the invisible truths beneath visible chaos. They are teaching you to discern intentions, not just actions, to perceive divine meaning, not just the external movement. For appearances can deceive, but divine perception never lies. When your eyes become instruments of truth, deception loses its power over you. Manipulators cannot confuse you. Opportunities cannot seduce you. Fear cannot paralyze you. You become a person of divine stability, unmoved by appearances, guided by truth. That is why God must purify your sight, because the next phase of your purpose requires precision. You cannot afford to mistake distraction for destiny or temptation for opportunity. The angels are whispering, see with clarity, move with certainty, act with discernment. Your eyes are holy territory. Guard them with reverence. Every image you allow to linger before your gaze plants a seed in your soul. Seeds of despair or hope, purity or pollution, strength or weakness. The angels are alerting because too many are planting weeds through the gate of their eyes. They watch what drains them and then wonder why they feel empty. They stare at what wounds them and wonder why they hurt. But when your eyes are fixed on God, every glance becomes prayer. Every look becomes an act of worship. Every vision becomes a prophecy of peace. The world will try to steal your attention because attention is the currency of the Spirit. What you give your eyes to, you give your energy to. If you look constantly at what others have, envy will infect your heart. If you stare at your failures, shame will weaken your courage. But if you fix your gaze upon God's greatness, faith will rise like a flood within you. You will walk in calm authority because your focus will no longer shift with the circumstance. The angels are revealing that spiritual warfare often begins with the vision. Darkness does not first attack your body, it attacks your focus. The enemy aims to distort what you see so you will misjudge what God is doing. He wants you to call delay defeat, to call correction punishment, to call redirection rejection. But heaven declares what you call loss, God calls alignment. Open your eyes and see the divine pattern hidden within the pain. When you look at your challenges through the lens of faith, they lose their power to break you. The angels surround those who see through purpose. They whisper courage to the one who can look at chaos and still declare God is in control. That declaration is not blindness, it is higher sight. It is refusing to let the shadows define the truth. It is seeing through the darkness and finding light that never fades. The angels are alerting because many of God's chosen are being distracted by visual noise, images of comparison, lifestyles of vanity, illusions of success. But God measures success by obedience, not appearance. The angels are repositioning your focus so that your eyes may return to simplicity, to what is eternal, to what truly fulfills. For what your eyes admire, your heart eventually imitates. Choose carefully what you gaze upon, for it will shape the atmosphere of your soul. God is calling you to lift your eyes from the temporary and behold the eternal, to stop being mesmerized by what glitters and start being grounded in what glows from within. The angels are urging you to gaze upon what strengthens the spirit, acts of kindness, moments of gratitude, the quiet beauty of faithfulness. When your eyes are trained on goodness, your life begins to radiate it. There is a sacred moment when the eyes of your understanding open and you realize that nothing is wasted. Even the tears you once cried become light refracted through divine wisdom. The angels are celebrating that awakening, for it marks the rise of a mature soul, one who no longer looks through wounds but through wisdom. Your eyes are being healed to see purpose where you once saw pain. You are being elevated from sight to insight, from looking to knowing. When God begins to anoint your vision, you start to see life differently. You recognize divine fingerprints in coincidences. You perceive hidden lessons in trials. You sense divine timing in delays. The angels assist in this transformation, helping you interpret the language of signs. They open your perception to the sacred rhythm of life. You stop rushing and start trusting. You stop forcing and start flowing. For now you see that everything that comes before your eyes has meaning. When viewed through the lens of faith, the angels are alerting about your eyes because clarity is your compass. Without clarity, even the strong become weary. Confusion drains energy faster than failure. But when you see clearly, when you know what is from God and what is not, peace returns. The mind quiets. Decisions become easier. Faith becomes natural. God never intended for your life to be guided by guesswork. He intended it to be guided by clear vision. That is why your sight must remain pure. Many people fall not because they are weak, but because they see wrongly. They mistake counterfeit blessings for divine gifts, illusions for miracles, distractions for destiny. But when your eyes are tuned to God's wavelength, you will discern immediately when something is not from Him. You will feel the dissonance in your spirit. You will know by peace or by unease whether something carries divine approval. This is not superstition. It is a spiritual sensitivity. The angels nurture this gift in those who are willing to remain pure in sight. When your eyes are holy, your path becomes luminous. When your perception aligns with the truth, every step glows with a divine assurance. Angels walk beside those whose eyes stay on the light because they know such souls will not be led astray. There is no darkness that can dominate a person who refuses to look away from God. You can be surrounded by chaos, but still see calm. You can be surrounded by decay, but still perceive renewal. Such is the power of enlightened vision. The angels are saying, your eyes are instruments of faith. They are not given merely to observe, but to activate. What you see inwardly creates what you experience outwardly. When you hold the image of peace within, even turmoil bends before you. When you envision abundance through faith, opportunities begin to align. When you perceive yourself through the eyes of God, insecurity dissolves. That is why the enemy fights to destroy your vision, because what you can no longer imagine, you can no longer manifest. Your eyes are sacred screens upon which divine images are projected. When you meditate on divine truths, those images take root and shape your destiny. Angels respond to such focus. They move according to vision. They carry out the intentions that match divine alignment. So when your eyes are fixed on what is holy, all of heaven collaborates to fulfill it. Guarding your eyes is not about fear, it is about focus. It is not about withdrawal, but about direction. You are called to look with a purpose, to see beyond temptation, beyond illusion, beyond limitation. The angels are guiding you toward mastery of your gaze, for he who controls his eyes controls his life. God will sometimes allow you to see what others cannot, not to boast, but to build. The angels may show you glimpses of your future, not so that you rush, but so that you prepare. When God grants vision, he also grants responsibility. The eyes that see deeply must also bear patiently. The angels stand near those who can hold the sight without pride, who can perceive greatness without arrogance. Be vigilant, for not every vision comes from light. There are deceptive images that mimic divine impressions. The angels are your allies in discernment. They whisper truths when falsehood try to masquerade as revelation. But they only speak clearly to hearts that stay humble. Humility polishes perception. Pride blinds it. The clearer your heart, the clearer your sight. God is calling you to be a steward of sight, to use your eyes as vessels of compassion, as mirrors of faith, as tools of service. Let your eyes see need and respond with generosity. Let them see suffering and respond with empathy. Let them see goodness and magnify. For when you see with love, you mirror the nature of God himself, forever aware, ever merciful, ever guiding creation toward the light. The angels are alerting you not just to protect your eyes from harm, but to awaken their holy purpose. Your eyes were made to recognize divinity in the ordinary, to find God's beauty in the small, his presence in the unnoticed. Each sunrise, each act of kindness, each moment of stillness is a divine painting for those who truly see. The blind stare but never perceive. The awakened look and understand. The highest form of vision is not to see what others cannot, but to see what others ignore. To look at the same world but behold deeper truth. The angels rejoice when your eyes reach that level of maturity, because then you become an instrument of peace. You start to reflect God's perspective on us to bring harmony where there was division, faith where there was fear, hope where there was despair. Remember this, the eyes are the architects of destiny. What you constantly gaze upon, you build toward. The angels are alerting because God is ready to construct something new in your life, but he cannot build it with an old vision. You must see differently to live differently. Your future is waiting at the edge of your perception. The moment you choose to see with faith rather than fear, creation begins to respond. Lift your gaze. See how the heavens declare the glory of God. See how every storm ends in light. See how every loss carries the seed of wisdom. The angels stand beside you, inviting you to open the eyes of your heart and perceive reality as God perceives it, filled with meaning, guided by purpose, sustained by divine love. The angels are alerting about your eyes because sight is sacred, protected, purified, elevated, and above all, use it to see the fingerprints of God everywhere you look. For when you finally behold the world through divine vision, you will realize nothing has been ordinary, nothing has been random, nothing has been wasted. Every sight, every season, every shadow was a step toward awakening the eyes of your soul. So now, beloved soul, hear this final word deep. Within your spirit, the angels are not just alerting you, they are awakening you. They are calling you to rise into a new level of awareness, a sacred depth of seeing. For your eyes were never meant to drift aimlessly through the illusions of this world. They were created to behold divine truth. God is commanding your vision to return to purity, to power, to purpose. You have looked long enough at what hurts you. Now it is time to look at what heals you. You have focused long enough on what ended. Now fix your eyes on what is beginning. The eyes of your soul are gateways to destiny. Guard them as you would guard treasure. Let nothing enter that diminishes your peace, and nothing distract you from your path. When your eyes stay on God, no shadow can overpower you, no lie can deceive you, and no fear can dominate you. The angels are surrounding you, whispering with urgency. See through faith, not fear. See through light, not darkness. See through truth, not illusion. For when your sight aligns with God, everything around you begins to align with grace. You start walking not by guesswork, but by revelation. You discern the invisible guidance woven through every delay, every disappointment, every detour. The world may see confusion, but you will see divine orchestration. The world may see endings, but you will see preparation. So lift up your eyes today. Let them rise above distraction, above pain, above appearances. Let them rest upon the majesty of God, the one who never sleeps, the one who guides you, the one who directs every step with purpose. The angels are already in motion, carrying light to those who dare to see differently. This is your moment to reclaim your vision. See yourself as God sees you, capable, chosen, surrounded by divine help. See your path not as chaos, but as construction. See your future not as uncertain, but as unfolding. See your trials not as punishment, but as preparation. For when you train your eyes to see with faith, you no longer stumble in darkness. You walk with quiet authority, guided by unseen hand. The angels go before you. The presence of God surrounds you. And your eyes now awaken, sanctified, and focused become the vessels through which light floods every part of your life. So let it be that from this moment forward, your gaze no longer wanders. Let your sight become sacred, your focus become firm, and your vision become victorious. For the angels have sounded their call, and God Himself is watching to see what your eyes will behold next. May they find only light. God said, it's all planned for the end of November. When you hear those words, something deep in your spirit begins to move. Because when God speaks of timing, He speaks of destiny. When He says, it's all planned, He's not talking about coincidence. He's talking about divine orchestration moments already written in heaven, waiting for their appointed time to unfold on earth. And now that appointed time is near, the end of November will not be ordinary. It will not be like other months. For some, it will be the moment of divine reversal. For others, it will be the birthing of what they prayed for, cried for, and waited on through seasons of silence. You see, God works in silence before He works in power. Before His move becomes visible, His plan becomes settled. The heavens are already in agreement with what is about to happen. You may not see the signs yet, but they are forming quietly, powerfully, precisely. The same way a seed grows unseen beneath the soil. Your breakthrough is germinating in places you cannot touch, cannot see, and cannot control. God has already scheduled your release. You think you are waiting on Him, but He's been waiting on His moment, the one He designed long before you even began to pray about it. At the end of November, the plan of God will speak. It will speak loudly through results. Those who mocked you will watch in silence as the hand of God lift you to places no human expected. Because when God plans a thing, no enemy can cancel it, no delay can erase it, and no betrayal can block it. What's coming has been divinely authorized. Every struggle you've endured until now was not random. It was rehearsal for revelation. It was part of the design. Many of you have been walking through a season of contradiction. You believed one thing, but seen the opposite. You prayed for increase, but watched decrease. You've asked for direction, but felt confusion. You've looked for open doors, but faced closed ones again and again. But hear this clearly, the contradiction was proof of your calling. The opposition was confirmation of your future. God allows contradiction not to break your faith, but to test its authenticity. He wanted to see if you would still trust Him when the promise seemed delayed, when your strength was gone, when your prayers felt unanswered. Because those who pass the test of silence are the ones who inherit the sound of glory. The end of November is not about a date on a calendar. It's about divine timing converging with the human readiness. God has been preparing you secretly, stripping away what cannot survive in your next season. That's why relationships shifted. That's why doors closed. That's why some of your plans fell apart, not because you failed, but because God was protecting the plan. He could not allow you to reach your destination attached to the wrong people or weighed down by the wrong distractions. So He separated you, refined you, and taught you how to stand alone with Him. You thought you were losing, but you were being positioned. There is a mystery in how God works. He hides blessings behind pain, purpose behind pressure, and growth behind isolation. Those who have learned to trust Him in isolation are about to walk into manifestation. The end of November will be a season when hidden faith becomes visible favor. Everything that was underground in your life will begin to rise. And it will not rise slowly, it will rise suddenly, like light breaking through the dawn. You will feel it in your spirit before you see it with your eyes. Something inside you will begin to say, This is it. This is the shift I've been waiting for. Some of you have been carrying a promise for years, and you've wondered if you misheard God. But God says, I didn't forget. I was just waiting for the perfect alignment of time, place, and people. He's been preparing the hearts of others to receive you. He's been preparing systems to favor you. He's been preparing circumstances to bless you. And now, heaven's calendar is pointing to November not as an ending, but as a beginning. Every delay in your life has been divine. Every setback has been sacred. God has been writing a story that requires patience to understand. You see, He does not rush the righteous. He refines them. He doesn't waste pain. He recycles it into purpose. And when the appointed time comes, all the pieces will fit together. You'll see that what you call the disappointment was actually direction. What you call the rejection was a redirection. What you call the waiting was preparation. God never wastes time. He uses it. So don't be discouraged by how long it's taken. God doesn't measure progress by speed. He measures it by depth. He's been deepening your roots so that when He lifts you, you'll be unshakable. He's been training your spirit to handle abundance. Because sudden blessing can destroy an unprepared heart. You've been praying for promotion, but God's been preparing your posture. You've been asking for overflow, but He's been shaping your capacity. Because when He releases His plan, He doesn't want you to collapse under the weight of it. At the end of November, many will witness what happens when God's timing meets human obedience. Those who refuse to give up will step into what others forfeited through impatience. Those who stayed faithful when it was painful will see favor when others see confusion. God's plan is not partial, it's complete. Every missing piece in your life will begin to make sense. The puzzle will come together. The confusion will clear. The delay will deliver clarity. And the very thing that made you cry will soon make you grateful. Listen carefully, the greatest battles happen right before divine fulfillment. That's why this moment has felt like chaos. The enemy always stirs the storm before the calm because he knows the calm is dangerous. He knows peace is the proof that God has spoken. So he sends distraction, discouragement, and fear to shake your confidence. But don't lose your peace now. You are closer than you think. The pressure you're under is a sign that the plan is near. God said it's all planned. That means even the parts you don't understand are included. The betrayals, the delays, the failures, the closed doors, all were necessary to shape your faith. If any of those moments were removed, your preparation would be incomplete. God doesn't plan comfort. He plans transformation. He doesn't plan convenience. He plans growth. Every tear you've shed has watered the soil of your next season. Every heartbreak has purified your motives. Every disappointment has burned away pride. You are being refined for glory. At the end of November, something will shift in the atmosphere. Many will feel a divine urgency, a stirring to move, a sense of clarity they haven't had before. It won't come from effort. It will come from alignment. Suddenly, you will know what to do. Suddenly, you will see why things didn't work before. Suddenly, opportunities that were once locked will open without struggle. That's how God moves suddenly, yet strategically. When He says it's all planned, He means nothing is missing. He's not improvising. He's not adjusting. He's fulfilling. You are walking into a season already designed to favor you. The script was written before the battle began. And when the divine script is in motion. No human resistance can rewrite it. The only thing that can stop you now is doubt. That's why you must protect your faith fiercely in this season. Guard your thoughts. Guard your words. Speak only what aligns with the plan. The power of God's plan manifests through faith. Faith is not passive belief. It's active trust. It's walking in peace while you wait. It's declaring victory when nothing looks victorious. It's believing that God's silence is not absence, but strategy. Those who live in that kind of faith will see sudden acceleration at the end of November. Doors will open, hearts will soften, paths will appear where there were none. You will realize that what you thought was delay was divine choreography. God was setting the stage for your unveiling. Some of you have been hidden on purpose. God hid you not because you weren't ready, but because others weren't ready for you. He kept you in obscurity to preserve your purity. He didn't want your gift exposed too soon. But when His time comes, no man can hide you. You'll step into visibility without striving. The right eyes will find you. The right opportunities will recognize you. The right support will surround you. God's timing always brings alignment. This is why you must not rush. The greatest mistake you can make right now is to try to make things happen in your own strength. Don't force what God has already planned. Don't try to accelerate what He has already scheduled. Patience is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's trusting that God knows what you don't. He sees the full picture while you only see fragments. So wait with faith, not frustration. The end of November will justify your patience. You will look back and say, now I understand. Every no will make sense. Every delay will reveal its purpose. Every silent night will shine with a revelation. Because when the plan unfolds, understanding follows. God never explained before. He performs, then He reveals. And when He reveals, your heart will overflow with gratitude. Some of you have been praying for financial breakthrough, and God says, it's all planned. You thought you lost opportunities, but He's creating better ones. You thought the door closed, but He's building a new one. He's aligning resources, people, and timing to bring abundance in a way that glorifies Him. Don't worry about how, just stay aligned with the plan. Favor will locate you. Provision will pursue you. What was once withheld will be released suddenly. Others have been praying for healing, for peace, for restoration. God says, it's already written. Healing is not coming, it's a schedule. Peace is not a dream, it's appointed. Restoration is not delayed, it's developing. You're not waiting for a miracle. The miracle is waiting for its moment. Trust that every day until the end of November is preparation for that unveiling. Your job now is to stay in alignment. Keep your spirit clean, your faith strong, your words positive. Don't curse the process that's bringing your promise. Speak only life. Expect only victory. Believe that the best days are ahead, not behind. Because when God plans a thing, the past cannot compete with the future. The end of November is more than a season. It's a divine intersection. Heaven is about to meet earth in your life. Everything you've been believing for, fasting, for crying for, will start aligning visibly. You won't need to chase it. You'll attract it. Because what's meant for you cannot miss you when it's God planned. And when that time comes, you won't need to explain yourself to anyone. The results will speak. The peace will show. The favor will prove that it was never about luck, it was about divine design. God said it's all planned, And when God plans, He performs. When He performs, He perfects. And when He perfects, He glorifies His name through your life. You have come too far to doubt now. Hold your faith. Guard your hope. Keep your heart aligned. Because before this month ends, you will know without question that every waiting season had purpose. And every tear was part of the plan. There are moments in time when heaven itself leans closer to the earth, when the divine plan begins to whisper to your spirit that something is about to change. This is one of those moments. God said it's all planned for the end of November. That means what you could not make happen in months, what seemed impossible in your human strength, what seemed closed and unreachable will unfold by the hand of God in His perfect timing. There is divine movement happening even now. The unseen realm is alive with preparation. Angels are at work, setting things in motion. You cannot see it, but you can feel it. That unease in your spirit, that sudden burst of hope, that unexpected peace after a season of chaos, it is the sign that the plan is active. For too long, you've questioned yourself, wondering if your prayers were lost, if your sacrifices were ignored, if your faith was in vain. But hear this clearly. Nothing you have done in obedience has gone unnoticed by God. Every seed of faith you planted, every tear of trust you cried, every act of quiet endurance you offered, all of it has been recorded in the divine timeline. The moment you prayed, heaven began to move, but God has been aligning the timing. Timing is everything with Him. He's not random, He's precise. He doesn't bless out of impulse. He blesses by design. So when He says it's all planned, He means the blueprint is finished, the stage is set, the divine order has been signed into reality. When God plans something, He doesn't ask permission. He doesn't consult your circumstances. He simply declares, and it becomes. You may be surrounded by impossibilities, but impossibility has no voice. When God has spoken, you may not know how, you may not know when, but the certainty is that God's word will never fail. What He has designed for you cannot be undone by fear, failure, or frustration. It will happen at the appointed time, and that appointed time is approaching. The end of November will not simply be a date. It will be a demonstration. It will be the evidence that faith is never wasted. God has been writing a chapter in your life that you didn't even know was necessary. The hardship you went through was not punishment. It was purification. The waiting was not delay. It was development. Every closed door trained your discernment. Every betrayal tested your dependence. Every unanswered prayer expanded your patience. God has been sculpting your spirit, shaping your attitude, molding your heart for what's coming next. Understand this, God cannot pour abundance into an unprepared vessel. He must refine you before He rewards you. He must strengthen your foundation before He raises your structure. That's why you have been under pressure. Pressure is the final stage before breakthrough. Pressure is what turned invisible promise into visible reality. It's what transforms the raw material of faith into the manifestation of glory. So do not despise the pressure. Embrace it. Because if you are feeling the weight, it means the plan is near completion. God said it's all planned, meaning He has already calculated every detail. The people you will meet, the opportunities that will open, the resources that will appear out of nowhere, all of it is written into His schedule for your life. Nothing will happen by accident. Even what seems like a coincidence will be divine choreography. You look back and realize that every encounter, every delay, every disappointment was a link in the chain of destiny. The perfection of God's plan is revealed only when you stop trying to control it. That's why God sometimes allows confusion to strip you of the illusion that you are in charge. He let plans collapse so you can see that His hand alone sustains your future. He let people walk away so you will know that your dependence must be on Him, not on human approval. When everything around you feels unstable, it's because God is shifting the ground beneath your feet to position you for higher territory. What looked like a fall was actually a step. What looked like a loss was actually a lift. You've been through enough. To know by now that God doesn't rush. He reveals, He unfolds, He manifests. You might think nothing is happening, but in God's timing, nothing is often the sign that everything is being set in order. When you see no evidence, trust that heaven is busy. When you feel silence, understand that planning is taking place. God is not ignoring you. He's arranging the details. The reason it hasn't happened yet is because the right moment hasn't met the right readiness. But when that intersection comes, when readiness meets timing, the outcome will be unstoppable. At the end of November, divine readiness will meet divine timing. Those who have prepared their hearts, who have refused to complain, who have continued to walk in integrity, despite delay, they will see what others only dreamed about. The plan of God is not just to bless you, it is to establish you. He wants your success to last, your peace to be permanent, your influence to be purposeful. That's why it's taken this long. Quick blessings fade fast, but blessings built on obedience endure forever. This is why you must not let weariness steal your faith. Many give up right before the appointed moment. They let discouragement silence their hope. They let comparison corrupt their confidence. But you must not do that now. You've come too far. You've fought too hard. You've endured too much. The seed of destiny within you is about to bloom. And only those who remain planted through the storm will see the flower of fulfillment. Don't uproot your faith because the soil feels dry. The rain is coming. The end of November will bring the water your seed has been waiting for. When God said it's all planned, He meant that even the waiting has purpose. You are not stuck. You are being scheduled. Your life is following a rhythm that heaven has composed. Every event has meaning. Every encounter has purpose. Even your mistakes are being used as a material for mercy. God is not limited by your flaw. He transformed them into fuel for your future. What others meant for harm, He has turned into hidden help. The very people who tried to bury you will one day watch you rise. Because when the plan of God matures, those who underestimated you will have no choice but to acknowledge that His hand was upon you all along. This season requires your spiritual focus. The distractions will increase as the divine hour approaches. You may notice unusual attacks, sudden fatigue, or people trying to pull you into unnecessary battles. That's not coincidence, that's resistance. The closer you get to your divine moment, the louder the noise becomes. Don't answer it. Silence is your strategy. Prayer is your power. Stillness is your weapon. God does not need your panic. He needs your peace. The plan will unfold without your striving. Just stay still, stay faithful, and stay alert. Some of you will begin to notice divine hints, unusual coincidences, inner promptings, sudden opportunities. Don't dismiss them. God speaks through signs, but only the sensitive can perceive them. He will nudge you, lead you, and whisper direction that make no logical sense, but carry divine purpose. When that happens, obey quickly. Delay in obedience can delay manifestation. Every instruction in this season is connected to your promotion. Move when God says move. Rest when He says rest. Speak when He says speak. And watch how everything aligns effortlessly. You may feel tired, but strength is coming. You may feel overlooked, but favor is being prepared. You may feel behind, but in the divine timeline, you are right on schedule. God is not finished. He's about to reveal the reason for every closed chapter. You've been asking why, but soon you will say, now I see. You'll understand why certain people left, why certain doors shut, why certain prayers took longer to be answered. The plan will reveal its perfection through hindsight. When God reveals His plan, it always exceeds expectation. He never gives halfway blessing. He restores beyond measure. He multiplies what was lost. He turns mourning into momentum. He turns failure into foundation. And when He blesses, He does so in a way that leaves no doubt that it was Him alone. People will look at your life and know this was not luck. This was not chance. This was the evidence of divine order. So prepare your heart. November's end will not be the end of your waiting. It will be the end of your wandering. You will see movement. You will see clarity. You will see results. The plan will not remain hidden forever. God is too faithful to leave your destiny suspended in uncertainty. The time for manifestation is near. Hold on to your faith as if it were oxygen, because it is your lifeline to the promise. The key now is surrender. Let go of control. Stop trying to calculate what God has already concluded. Stop analyzing what He has already ordained. The more you surrender, the faster the plan unfolds. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means trusting completely. It means saying, God, I believe You even when I can't predict You. It means knowing that His way is higher, His timing is better, and His wisdom is beyond your understanding. Those who surrender will see speed. Those who resist will face delay. The more you align your heart, the smoother the path becomes. God doesn't want you to strive. He wants you to flow with His purpose. The plan has momentum, and your obedience fuels it. Every act of faith pushes it forward. Every word of gratitude attracts its manifestation. The end of November will not come quietly. It will come with evidence. Those who have believed will testify. Truly, God planned it all along. Every part of your story will testify that divine wisdom was at work. Nothing will be wasted. Even the pain will have purpose. Even the delay will be crowned with divine design. God's timing will prove that He never forgot, never failed, never abandoned you. You may have doubted Him, but He never doubted you. He knew what you were capable of enduring. He trusted you with the waiting because He knew you would not collapse under it. And now, because you have remained, because you have believed, because you have held on when others let go, your season of divine fulfillment is here. The plan is already in motion. Heaven is counting down to its appointed time. Keep your heart steady, your spirit calm, and your faith unshaken. The end of November will not be the end of your struggle. It will be the beginning of your reward. There is something sacred about waiting at the edge of fulfillment. It is a holy tension where faith meets reality, where your prayers begin to echo louder in the realm of manifestation. God said, it's all planned for the end of November. Those words are not random. They are divine confirmation that the shift you've been sensing, the stirring in your heart, the unusual peace that doesn't make sense amid the chaos, are all signs that the plan is entering its visible phase. The same God who created the seasons, who makes the tides obey their appointed time, is the same God who has scheduled your transformation. When He declares that it is planned, it means the hour has already been written in the invisible scrolls of destiny. You must understand, nothing in your life is accidental. Every delay has been divine, every setback intentional. God does not work in confusion. He works in clarity concealed by time. He will let you walk through uncertainty, not because He wants you lost, but because He wants you anchored. He allows the unknown so your faith can grow beyond understanding. What you cannot see, you must believe. And when belief matures, it produces the kind of faith that commands miracles. Many have been asking, when will it happen? When will my breakthrough come? But God's plan is not measured by your clock. It is measured by your readiness. He has been preparing your heart for a season of sudden exposure. That is why He isolated you. That is why you felt hidden. That is why your name was not mentioned when others were being celebrated. God hides what He values until the time is right. A diamond is never found on the surface. It is hidden deep until it's ready to be revealed. So if you've been in the dark, don't curse it. It's your preparation room. The end of November will reveal that what was concealed was not forgotten. God was protecting you from premature exposure. The spotlight that comes from man fades, but the unveiling that comes from God carries permanence. When He decides to reveal you, it will not just be recognition, it will be redemption. He will redeem your years, your tears, your labor, and your faith. Every sacrifice you made in silence will find its reward in His perfect timing. God's plan for you was not designed to impress people. It was designed to glorify Him. That is why you couldn't fit in with everyone else's story. You couldn't rush your journey because your process carries purpose. You weren't meant to copy, you were meant to carry divine originality. God's plan for you requires uniqueness, and uniqueness often feels like isolation. You may have felt alone, misunderstood, or even abandoned, but all the while, God was setting you apart for a reason bigger than your comfort. At the end of November, the separation will make sense. You will realize that those who left were necessary exit. You will understand that the silence was a sign of sacred construction. You will finally see why certain prayers weren't answered the way you imagined, because God was preparing something you didn't even have the words to ask for. He's not giving you what you expected. He's giving you what eternal. Many people live their life trying to plan what only God can orchestrate. They write strategies, chase opportunities, and rely on effort instead of alignment. But when the plan of God is in motion, you don't chase, you attract. You don't strive, you flow, because God's plan brings grace, and grace makes the impossible effortless. What was hard before will suddenly become easy. What seemed out of reach will begin to move toward you. You will stand still, and doors will open that no human could have unlocked. When God plans something, it comes with divine order. It's not chaotic. It's not confusing. It carries peace even in uncertainty. You will know it's God not because it happens fast, but because it happens right. And when it happens, you won't need to explain it. The results will be your evidence. The peace will be your confirmation. The favor will speak louder than words. But understand this, the revelation of the plan is not the end. It is the beginning of stewardship. What God gives you, He expects you to guard. The blessings of the end of November will require maturity. You must protect what God reveals. Do not boast. Do not rush to share. Do not expose what is meant to grow quietly. Some things are not meant to be announced. They are meant to be nurtured. What is born in privacy carries greater strength. God will trust those who know how to keep silent while the miracle develops. The enemy cannot destroy the plan, but he can distract you from it. That's why, as your moment approaches, distraction will increase. People will suddenly appear. Situations will arise to pull your focus. Emotions will try to cloud your clarity. But you must remain centered on God. Protect your peace as if it were a treasure, because peace is the signal of divine presence. When you lose your peace, you lose direction. And in this season, direction is everything. God's plan for you is bigger than your imagination. He is not just bringing you out of a struggle, He's bringing you into significance. He's not just restoring what you lost, He's multiplying it. What's coming is not compensation, it's elevation. But elevation always comes with testing. You must pass the test of humility, gratitude, and discernment. Pride destroys plans. Ingratitude delays them. And poor discernment exposes them to danger. So walk humbly, thank God deeply, and listen for His whisper before you make your moves. As the end of November draws near, some will experience divine acceleration. Things that took years will happen in days. Closed doors will open with no logical explanation. People who ignored you will begin to seek you. Opportunities you didn't apply for will call your name. This is the power of divine alignment. When the plan matures, you will not have to chase what belongs to you, will be drawn to your spirit. You will find yourself in the right place, at the right time, with the right people, because heaven has arranged the encounter. Do not underestimate the suddenness of God. He moves quietly for a long time, then manifests loudly in a single moment. One moment can change everything. One divine encounter can rewrite years of pain. One act of obedience can open doors for generations after you. That's why you must remain sensitive and expectant. Expectation is not fantasy, it's faith in motion. Expectation is the magnet for manifestation. When you believe that something divine is near, your spirit attracted. Many will not understand what's happening in your life when the plan unfolds. They will think it's luck, but you will know it's the outcome of divine order. You will know it's the result of hidden obedience, unseen prayer, and unshakable faith. And when that moment comes, do not forget who did it. Do not take credit. Return the glory where it belongs. Because the moment you acknowledge the source, the flow continues. Gratitude keeps the gates open. Arrogance closes them. At the end of November, you will stand as living proof that God fulfills what He promises. You will testify that faith is never in vain. You will realize that even in silence, God was speaking through your situation. He was teaching you endurance, molding your heart, and positioning your path. And when you see what He has prepared, you will know why it took so long. You will know that every unanswered question, every lonely night, every uncertain step, all led here to this divinely appointed hour. Keep your spirit pure. Keep your heart soft. Don't allow bitterness to block your blessing. Forgive those who wronged you. They were instruments in your preparation. Release the past. It cannot serve you in the new. Embrace what's coming with open hands, because what God is about to place in them will be heavier, holier, and higher than anything you've carried before. The plan is perfect. The timing is set. The release is near. God said it's all planned for the end of November, and when God speaks, time obeys, creation aligns, and destiny unfolds. The waiting is almost over. Prepare your heart. The plan is about to be revealed, and your life will never be the same again.